Hey everybody, Charles here. Welcome to Backroads Living. In today's video, we're going to be discussing how the rich get richer and the poor get poorer, and how that's going to be a thing of the future. Hang in there and we'll get right into this video. So, let's talk about the rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer. As long as I can remember, all my life basically, I've always heard that statement that the rich continue to get richer and the poor continue to get poorer. Well, here in the United States, over the past several years, there has been a wonderful opportunity for people to earn a living and to make a good living for the most part. People have always had an opportunity, or not always, but for the last many years, people have had an opportunity to own businesses. My wife and I own businesses at one point, and we made good money in those businesses. We were allowed to run them the way we saw fit, and we always did very well with them, except in very bad times of economic downturns. But that's pretty much the case with everybody, and over the years people have been able to do that, and there's been many people that's been successful with businesses and with a lot of good jobs that have really excelled, and they've been able to make a good living for themselves and for their families, and they've been able to put back money and send their children to college and do all kinds of things, and then others have been able to make enough money to live comfortably and to have a decent savings account and to get by. And then there's others that have struggled. That's just how it is in America. We've had for years, we've had the rich, the middle class, and the poor. I know that many people choose to be poor, and that I can't understand that train of thought, but there's people who choose to not want anything in life. Now, as far as saying that, I can't say that we desire a lot of stuff in life, because we don't. We don't desire the fancy cars or the fancy homes or any of that kind of stuff. Those are not things we desire. We're kind of like what Paul said with food and raiment. We try to be content. We have a roof over our head. The Lord has blessed us wonderfully with where we live. He's blessed us with a means to make a living so that we can keep our bills paid. Here online is how we make our living. Everything we do is online, whether it's through advertisement or donations or whatever the case may be. Whether we sell something from our website, that's how we make our living. That's how we pay our bills. That's how we do everything we do. And we've been fortunate for that. I don't even know that we classify as a middle class citizen as far as the income comes in, but I don't consider us as being poor. But I guess we probably would fit into that category. I'm not real sure. I don't feel that way, but money-wise, if you went by the charts, we'd probably fall in that category. But again, we don't feel that way. But then the middle class, the folks that are doing fairly well and living really well, a lot of them have worked really hard to be where they're at. But the thing about all this, reason I'm mentioning that, is because it's going to come a time that the middle class people are going to disappear. It's just going to be done away with, and it's already started with all these lockdowns, because many of your folks who are considered middle class are business owners. They are people who own a successful business and they make a decent living, and some of them make a really good living. But these lockdowns have begun to really take its toll on those businesses. Many of them have already closed and will never open again. We've seen that thousands of businesses across the United States have been closed through this first lockdown, and they were unable to reopen simply because they didn't have the money to maintain the rent and the utilities and all these things while their business was closed. Now, those who were able to reopen, they have reopened, and they were given the opportunity to work for a few weeks, and then they've come right back in with another set of lockdowns, and they've shut these businesses again and or crippled them to the point that they can't serve patrons inside their store, that they have to serve them outside, do some kind of curb service or something. And we know that in most cases that's going to do more than just cripple a business, that's going to put it out of business, just like the fella in, I think it was the fella in New York that had declared his business an autonomous zone. That lasted for about a week, and the mayor sent the law in there, and they arrested the owner or the manager and hauled them off to jail. It was okay to have an autonomous zone in all these, in these other places, and do that for, a month or even longer till they just decided to move out. But you couldn't do it if you was a business owner. And the folks right up the street from you, they weren't under restrictions. So how these guys pick these sections and areas and enforce mandates in one place and not another is just it's just mind-boggling to me. But nonetheless, it happens. Now that fella, he's already said if he has to close his business again, he's done. He's just done. He can't survive. No, and he's got. I think he said he had 4 children. He had, he's got grandchildren. He's got all these folks that he has to try to help take care of. And if they close his business, he's done. So, what becomes of him? He becomes another statistics. He drops into the category of the poor, and more than likely he'll never rise out of that again because the government won't give him the opportunity to. This thing has come. This is our new normal, and we're never going to be out of it. People keep saying they're waiting for this to pass and for things to go back to the way they were, and that's not going to happen. I know there's a lot of folks out there that say, well, we're going to get this VAXX, and they're going to shoot that in our arm, and that's going to fix everything, and we'll go back to the normal then. Nope. If you think that, you're in for a rude awakening. That's not going to happen either. Now, you may get the VAXX, but things are not going back to how they used to be. This is our new normal, and it's going to get worse. We've been informed of this many different times by many different governors and mayors throughout this country since this thing started, for us to get used to the new normal, because this is what it's going to be. They've got their foot on the pedal, and they're not going to let up. This thing is driven and pushed by the spirit of Antichrist, the seed of Satan. And his seed, S-E-E-D, is in the earth, and they're going to push this as fast and hard as they can. And we're going to see it begin to come to its fruition here just very shortly, I think. But let's look at some things that's been going on here. It says new lockdowns and more rigidity are disastrous for U.S. jobs. And this is how the rich is going to get richer and the poor is going to continue to get poorer. And the middle class is going to be dissolved and become part of the poor. So it's just going to be 2 classes pretty soon. You're not going to have the 3 classes of people, rich, middle class, and poor. You're going to have 2 classes. You're going to have the rich and the poor. And that's pretty much going to be it. That's another reason you need to be getting your food put back in your pantries right now. While the food's still on the shelves and you have the opportunity to go out and buy it, and you have the opportunity to come and go as you please, then you need to do that while you can. The article here said the United States jobless claims have picked up since the elections, and the second wave of this COVID-19 has slowed down the economic recovery. It's just about ground it to a halt. It's not just slowed it down. It's pretty much ground it to a halt, the economic recovery. It says that uncertainty about tax increases and changes in labor laws, including an increase in minimum wage, add to the fear of new lockdowns as employers see the devastating effects of these lockdowns in European employment. So this is happening everywhere. It's not just here in America. It's happening everywhere. Now, it says while the United States has been able to recover fast and reduce unemployment to 6.8%, and now that's a very debatable number right there, 6.8%. We've not recovered. This has all been a smokescreen. They've raised these lockdowns and allowed people to go back to work for 2 or 3 weeks for a month or so, and then they've started right back again. And this is not going to end. it doesn't end here. This continues. And that 6.8% unemployment, that's nowhere near what the unemployment rate in the United States is right now. There are tons of people who've quit looking for jobs. They've fallen off of those statistics. There are just thousands and thousands and thousands of people weekly going into the unemployment lines, and there's thousands, tens of thousands weekly that are falling out of those statistics because they quit hunting jobs because they can't find them. The unemployment rate, who knows what it is? It's untelling, but I'll tell you right now, it's way more than any 6.8%. It could be as high, probably as maybe even 30%. Who knows? It's really big though. But here's the thing about it: new lockdowns and more rigidity are disastrous for U.S. jobs. And then this next article, I'm going to show you something, and I'm going to come back to this one, okay, real quick, because I've got something I want to show you right here that goes along with this article. This article here says, after this new wave of lockdowns, most people will accept any solution because they'll be so desperate. People will be beat down so bad that they will accept any solution the government offers them. They will be out of money. They'll have no money to pay mortgages. They'll have no money to pay car payments. They won't be able to pay insurance. They won't be able to buy necessities of life, even food, and whatever solution the government offers them, they'll jump on board with it just to be able to survive. And let's go back to this first article real quick. And let's look right here. It says the VAXX rollout could ease the crisis. This is what the government's telling you. This right here could ease this crisis. And who gets it first? Well, I'm not going to go into that video. You can go in and watch it yourself. I'll put the link to this article in the description below. When people get desperate enough, they'll do just about anything. That's why it's so important to know the Lord Jesus Christ, so you don't have to get that desperate. Your hope doesn't have to be in government. And yes, we have to eat, no matter who we are, whether we're followers of Christ or not. We have to eat, and we have to wash, and we have to take care of ourselves, and we have to do all the same things that everybody else does physically. But we don't have to stress and worry mentally, because our minds and hearts are fixed on Jesus Christ, and our hope is in Him and not in the federal government. So that's where it separates a follower of Christ from someone who is not. We don't have the fear of the world in us. We don't have that fear because our hope is in God. We know that if this tabernacle, if this body is destroyed, that we will be in the presence of God. It really is that simple. It's just really black and white, folks. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure this stuff out. But when people become desperate enough, those in power can get most of them to do just about anything. And we've seen it years and years and years, time and time again over the years, that all these programs that's come out and everything that's happened. And we've got programs in the making right now. Now, there have been I've read the articles that if certain people get in office, and I'm not going to start naming names here, but if certain people get in office and certain people are put in head of certain programs, that this VAXX would be included in social programs. That if you want housing, you're going to have to take that shot to get it. If you want food stamps, you're going to have to take that shot to get them. That's just how it's going to be. And you know, we sit and stress over this stuff, sit and worry over this stuff. You know, guys, we're all going to die at some point. Every one of us is going to lay down this life at some point and die. We don't want to suffer before we do, but we're going to have to give up this life at some point. We're all dying. That's just the cycle, the circle of life itself. We're born, we grow old, and we die. The question is, are you ready to go? That's the main thing. Is your heart right with God? Do you have peace in God? Is your rest in Jesus Christ instead of this world and this government? But the rich have always gotten richer. Ever since the government has figured that out early on, and the poor's always got poor, and they allow people to do what they want them to do and how much they want them to do. Let's look at a little bit of a closing right here real quick. Now, I know that the other day, Alaskan Prepper did a video very similar to this, and I'm using some of his numbers over here on a WordPad I'm going to show you in just a minute. But I'm trying to look at this from a spiritual aspect and a prepping point of view also, because spiritually we need to be prepared with our hearts with God. Physically we need to have our pantries prepared. We need to have our pantries filled up, because we're going to have to eat whether we trust in the Lord or not. We still got to eat, we still got to put clothes on, we still got to do all that stuff. And we're trusting God gives us one opportunity to prepare. And then whatever comes beyond that, His grace is sufficient for us. That's just how simple it is. It really is that simple. It's not difficult. Don't make it any more difficult than it is, because it's just that simple. But there have been literally thousands and thousands and thousands of businesses closed this year in the United States that will never open again. And I'm going to show you a few of them right here. These chain stores now. This is not even including the mom and pop stores. The mom and pop stores that's been closed is probably more than these. But these are big chain stores. Let's start right here at the top. GNC stores. There have been 1,200 of them closed in 2020. Pier 1 Imports, 936 store closings in 2020. Stage Stores, 738 stores closing in 2020. Men's Warehouse, 500 stores of those closed in 2020. New York and Company, 405 store closings in 2020. The Game Shop, 320 stores closed in 2020. Kay's Jewelers, 300 stores closed in 2020. The list just goes on and on and on, right on down the page. And like I said, this doesn't even take in the tens of thousands of businesses that were owned by individuals like you and I, what they call mom and pop stores, mom and pop shops, restaurants, hair salons, bars, whatever the business may be. If they weren't considered essential during these lockdowns and they had to close, then many of them could never open again, because they just didn't have the money to operate like that. They didn't have the money put back in order to be able to pay rent while their doors were closed. They'll never open again. And now this second wave of lockdowns is happening. This is meant to do just that. This is meant to put a crushing blow on the rest of these. They intend. I'm telling you, it is intended for this to happen. Yes, my friend, it is intended to close the doors of the rest of these, or as many of them as they can, permanently, because they want the rich to get richer. And I want to show you that right now in just a second. There are charts to this. The Alaskan Prepper had the charts in his video, but they're also online. If you want to look up Wall Street, you can just go over there and type these names in, and you can look at them for yourself. But right here, Amazon stocks since March has increased 70%, which is a huge amount. 70%. Walmart stocks has went up almost 38.6%. Costco has went up 36.4%. Their stocks have went up that much. Home Depot stocks has increased 20%. Lowe's increased 41%. Facebook increased almost 50%. They increased 49% since March. Their stocks have, the value of their stock has went up that much. The NASDAQ has went up 44%. Can you imagine how much that is? That the NASDAQ went up 44%? Who are these people that their stocks are going up like this? These are the people that receive those huge stimuluses, all these bailouts, all this extra money that went into the stock market, the liquidity that went into the stock market went right here. People that got a little bit of money spend it on this stuff, many of them. Those that are lucky enough to retain their jobs and continue to work, they couldn't go out and buy stuff from the stores. Many of them were afraid to go out because they were afraid that if they went out they'd get sick. So they ordered everything from home. And we see Amazon stocks going up 70%. He's now one of the richest men in the world, in the top 5. Yeah. The rich continue to get richer, and the poor continue to get poorer, and the middle class are falling into the ranks of the poor. And that's what this whole thing is working down to. There's going to be 2 classes of people in the earth when this is over. This new normal will be set up. I'm going to be talking about this later on in another video about the Great Reset that I'm working on right now. Yeah, this is all coming. We need to be prepared for it. You need to have your food put back. You need to have your seeds put back and preserve those seeds. Those are going to be worth more than diamonds and gold in the end of all this. The things that you're able to do to preserve yourself is going to be worth more than you could ever have dreamed. So put your food back, put your stuff back that you need to work with, get everything you can put aside, because it's coming to a time that you may very well, and it may be sooner than we think, that you may have to go to completely self-sustainability. Could happen very quick. These people have agendas. They give dates, but they never work with the dates. You never know what the dates are going to be. I know there's a 2021. I know there's a 2030, but you don't know what time they really have in mind. So everybody keep that in mind, and don't forget we're going to have a live tonight. Be sure and stop by this evening at 7 p.m. Today is, let's see what today's date is. Today's 12/5/2020. In case you're watching this after that, of course, it won't be a live video after that, but this evening on 12/5/2020 at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we'll be doing a live video. We'll be taking your comments. We'll be answering questions, and hopefully we'll have a lot of you there. So don't forget that, and don't forget, folks, that if you don't know Jesus, look to him today. Call on him while he still may be found. And we pray for you. We pray that the Lord keep you and watch over you and keep you safe. And until then, we'll see you in the next video.